Morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, everyone? Here back with another podcast. I am Coach David.
Professor Muhammad. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, man. So we had a big day at the academy yesterday. We had some kids promotions.
That was awesome.
Boy, what an event! That was. How many people do you think we had here at one time?
About 150.
You think so?
Yeah.
I feel like it's 200, including the kids.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, our post meeting at home.
Yeah.
I heard we had at least 150.
Yeah, man. It was it was good though. It was like, have you ever I don't know about you, but like I'm always looking through things. I feel like I've got like a weird way of looking at things. I mean, of course, being that, that we're the coaches here, we're going to look at things a little bit differently. It's a combination of are you familiar with the Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer? The story-ish, the characters at all?
Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer?
Tom Sawyer. It was required reading in high school. Anyway, Huckleberry Finn was very much just like whatever.
Huckleberry Finn. Okay.
Yeah, Huck Finn, right. Huckleberry Finn. Whatever gets the job done.
Yeah.
And Tom Sawyer is like, no. We have to do this according to like the really flashy way, right? And so generally, I'm like more of the Tom Sawyer guy. Yeah. The problem with that is it takes longer or stuff just doesn't get done. So Huck Finn at least got stuff done, no matter how crude it may be. So I'm always looking for like perfectionists in me, 1% improvements, 5% improvements, Yeah. So I'm just seeing like, man, we could have done this better. We could have done that better. But then like I get home and on my Facebook's blowing up. The parents didn't see any of that. They didn't see like the things that I could have improved or that we could have improved. They just saw that their kid was promoted and their hard work was paying off.
Yeah.
And they were getting the most out of that. So,
yeah, I'm always of the, like my mindset going in is, I stopped looking for perfection years ago. I mean, for me, it's always about progress, not perfection. Yeah. Like in everything we do, we just want to get a little bit better. And, realistic expectations are the kids' jiu-jitsu, the kids' program, all the things that we're doing here. We're constantly making slight little improvements.
Yeah.
And, it's about progression. And I think the parents got to see it yesterday. The kids were rewarded for their efforts yesterday. And it was just great to see all that hard work paying off with all the kids yesterday.
I remember when we were initially doing the build out for Metro. And you said that you're like, well, we're always going to be working on this. It's not going to be perfect. And that went against everything. I was like, no, it's going to be perfect. Like we're going to be done. And our academy has changed so much physically, like our kind of our target of like the perfect members and the people who we attract has changed a little bit, like to the people that are in here. It's just changed so much. And so like it is very much, we're always making those, we're always keeping our members on their toes, right? There's always something new that we're doing because I think no one likes, if we're going to be honest, like no one likes just a business that hasn't changed or something that hasn't changed in 5 or 10 or 15 years. Like if you look back at the old pictures of like the 1990s Taco Bell, the food might have been the same, but you're like, oh, that's kind of dated and dingy, like they're on top of like always keeping fresh. And so I think that's something that I like that what we do. So we have a lot of questions and we're going to get right into them because I do want to get them all answered. So what are 3 keys to success in training jiu-jitsu? This is for those who already train, like you already trained somewhere, whether with Metro or a different part of the country, and you train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
What are 3 keys to success in that?
So did the question come in for kids, adults, or both? Or
I've actually got, let me pull it up. I just kind of wrote in general. Are your answers different?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I've got, just to set yourself up for a long time. So maybe this was an adult, but I'm curious if the answers are different. What are the 3 keys for kids versus adults?
Well, let's start with adults, right? It's morning time for adults. I always go back and reference going to the gym, like getting a Planet Fitness membership or getting a any local gym membership. Like, what can you possibly get done in, a month or 3 months? Not
Yeah.
much.
Maybe you'll have like an initial, if you've never worked out before, you'll have some initial gains, but yeah, you're not going to get much done in 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, as basic as it sounds, like, in my opinion, it takes you probably a month to get your routine down. Like, forget about the actual workout, So it takes you a month to, like, okay, I got to change my schedule. I got to, either go to sleep early or get up early. I can't tell you how many people that I've worked with over the last 30 years that the problem getting to the gym and working out and doing a program isn't even about the program. It's about, oh, I couldn't find my gym bag, or I didn't have anything to wear, or I don't know. I woke up.
Let me just interject. What's the lamest excuse you've heard for somebody quitting jiu-jitsu?
For jiu-jitsu is, I know you've heard them. There's not one. It's like somebody made me mad, or somebody like somebody was mean to me, or like rude to me, or somebody didn't kiss my ass when I walked inside the door. Like,
lamest excuse I heard was like that, like this girl that he liked was dating someone else. Which, if that's your motivation to keep training jiu-jitsu, is to hope to hook up with a girl in there, it's gonna go poorly. That's a promise. It's not gonna end well. It's a promise.
Yeah, bro, that's equal to saying I want to go to the gym to meet somebody. Like, you got a job to do when you go to the gym. Go take care of your business. If you're mixing your business with pleasure, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Like, sure. Yeah, I there's not one, but like, gosh, like quitting jujitsu.
I got you off topic. I didn't mean to derail you, but like,
yeah, that'll come back to me. I mean, let me tell you this: quitting jujitsu, some of the excuses that I've heard are so childish.
Yeah.
On the outside in, you would be like, what's the matter with you? Grow up. Like, either you want to make improvements in your life or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have, I often wonder though, it's kind of it's easier to quit. Like, it's not somebody who normally quits like cold turkey like that, right? They don't go from training 3 or 4 days a week to the next week being like, nah, that was fun, I'm done, right? They'll go 3 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week, and then they'll go 3, and then they'll go 2, but they won't, like, they'll show up late for the second class, and then they'll go like 1 day a week, and then they'll go once a month. So it's kind of a waning off, right? And it's a waning off. And then once they haven't had jujitsu, it's kind of like that slope of you get into poor eating. Like, you don't go from eating like super clean to super garbage overnight.
No.
You interject all of these poor habits, right?
Right.
And so then and it's easy now. And this is one of the reasons that we actually call people. Like, if we haven't seen you, there are people probably sick of hearing from us, honestly. But we're like, yo, what's up? What's up, Mo? Where you been, man? And like, oh, just busy. Okay, sweet. When you training next? Like, I mean, we have 9 adult classes now. Like, when you training? So like that, they sort of, it's a progressive removal, if you will.
I remember going back, like, jiu-jitsu, right? Just specifically jiu-jitsu, going back 15 years. And I know for both of us, we looked back at when we started jiu-jitsu until 3 years ago when we opened.
Yeah.
And what are the improvements that we would have made that we think would have been better for us, So, like, all the decisions that we make, the program, the structure, like, literally from the second you walk in, getting on the mat, doing your training during class, after class, what are the things that we think would have been better, about those improvements, right?
Yeah.
And one of them is, like, if I missed a few days of jiu-jitsu because of work, I was, we were really busy at the time, and
you had like five GNC locations, right?
Yeah, at one time I had like, 5 retail stores. And you had, some things going on with Scarlett. I know Scarlett was born premature, and, you were moving from like a house to an apartment back to a house. So, we had a lot of stuff going on. When I would miss a few days or a week of jiu-jitsu, I mean, it was on my mind. But one thing that really bothered me is nobody called me.
Yeah.
Like, Mo, where are you? Is everything okay? Why aren't you training? And so, when our team gets a call from us and says, hey, Dave, it's been a few days, since you've been here, like, where are you? It could be as easy, as simple as, which we do. When are you training again? Or I just wanted to check on you. And, it really bothered me that I didn't get those calls. I did get calls from you. Like, I did get calls from you say, Mo, do you want to work out at 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow?
Yeah.
And
well, I knew I could only send that message to about 4 people. I know only about 4 people would buy. I just didn't want the rejection, So like that. Yeah, that's when I had to get in though. Like when I had to see Scarlett, like I couldn't make the evening classes or the afternoons because I worked. So
yeah. So for our members listening, if you get a text from us or a call from us or from our manager or somebody, it's because we've been there. Yeah. Like stuff gets in the way and we just want to let you know we're thinking about you.
Yeah. So going back to, let's tie it to the keys to success, right? Sounds like one thing we need is some accountability.
Yeah.
What are the other 2 things? We'll say for adults. We'll start with adults.
For 3 keys to success in jiu-jitsu?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. So one of mine would be like pace yourself out over 1 year.
Yeah.
Pace yourself out over 1 year. Like we all have like some short and long-term goals that we want to accomplish, and understand any of those goals, just put them in front of you, put them in a perspective. Typically those goals are not going to be met in like a few months. You're going to start to feel better and it's going to take time. And if you go into a gym or you go into a program understanding, okay, to get to this point, it's going to take me 6 months to a year, and anytime you get frustrated or you get busy, you got to think about, okay, I did this, my commitment to get to this goal is going to be for 6 months or a year. So I would say number 2 is having realistic expectations of what you want to get out and in the right amount of time.
Yeah. That I can't really quantify. I can't put my finger on. I just knew I wanted to get, to me, I don't comprehend starting something and not finishing it. I don't comprehend it. Now, starting something and realizing it was a bad idea and pivoting, that's a different thing. But that's not going to happen with jiu-jitsu. So it's going to happen if you do it wrong. It's going to happen if you join with the wrong motives. It's going to happen if you're at the wrong school. But like if we've decided to go a certain direction, we do it a lot in building. We're like, hey, we should do it this way. Actually, we should not, because like that's going to not work out. So like pivoting is one thing. I just wanted to earn a black belt. Literally, like that was all I wanted to do. There was just a goal, and I just knew it took a while. So I was like, okay, I'm here, in addition to everything else in my life, I'm just going to make time for this. And I don't know if I would have been able to, there's this deep human need to want to be consistent and our actions be consistent with who we say we are. And so like when I tell people, and this is why I would, one of these things I'd put in there is like, put stuff out publicly, build in public, set your goals in public. Like tell someone, I'm going to earn a black belt one day, put it on social, put it on, build it, make a t-shirt, put it on your fridge so that when people see it, they're like, yo, how's it coming with earning your black belt? Like versus they can ask you about it. Like just knowing that someone's going to ask, I don't want to have the answer to be like, oh yeah, I quit. I don't want to have to, like, that's, to me, that's, I don't understand that. I just don't understand that.
And you know what? Like your goal was to get a black belt.
Yeah, that was my goal. Like I can't tell you why either. Honestly, I just didn't want to get beat up anymore. Like I
Yeah.
just can't see why.
My goal was to get better. And both goals are the correct goal. Both of them drove us to get to where we are today. And you don't have to sit. Your goal doesn't have to be to get a black belt. Your goal doesn't have to be to get better. It could be just to be a black belt or vice versa. But what you have to do in order to meet both goals is you got to show up.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so there's no right answer or wrong answer. It has to be your answer.
Yeah. So now how about for kids? And I'm gonna go on record in here. Like your kid cannot drive, usually. I mean, if they can, they're in the adult class, so apply the adult ones to it. But your kid needs your support. Yeah. As like your kid needs your support. And they don't need you as a coach. Yeah. They need you as a parent.
Yeah.
So they need your support as a parent. And they need your support, and depending what you're bringing them in for, like Scarlett, like she calls me. I think she just wants to feel like part of the team. Like she calls me coach when I'm on the mat, you know, but like just because she doesn't want to shout like, yes, dad, you know, but like they're like when I go home, we almost don't talk about jiu-jitsu at all with Scarlett. She's 6. Yeah. My goal is, hey, did you have fun? You know, I was so proud of what you did. You know, I saw it was really tough. You worked really hard to like, that's your job is to be a parent and to get them there and to support what they're doing. And if they cry and say they don't want to go, to explain to them what type of work ethic they're building by doing so. Yeah. You know, like that is the whole, we talked about this the other day. Jiu-jitsu is not optional for my kids. It's not. Yeah. Neither is eating their veggies. Neither is learning how to swim. Like I don't understand that, because otherwise what's going to happen, there's a kid, like I'm just going to talk about it. There's a kid, he just hung himself, 10 years old, got bullied, didn't know how to handle it. Shit, but I bet we wish we would have done something about that, huh? But now we're just going to go post on social outraged because the other kid's parents were bad. You can't control the other kid's parents. You can teach your kid how to fight. You can teach your kid how to stand up for themselves. You can teach your kid how to not be a victim.
You know, I think my wife showed me that post, and that was like,
bro, it hurt.
Yeah, man, that's like, it's super sad. It's super sad. You know, I think what you're trying to say is like, if you want to help your kids, you got to give them tools. You know, you got to give them tools to help yourself. And when I was growing up, and I think I told the story before, I was getting bullied for a while. And one of my uncles, I came home with a black eye, and one of my uncles grabbed me and took me to the corner where the kids come home from school. And he was a roughneck. He was like a really abrasive, really tough guy. He's like, okay, he took me to the corner, and I thought that he's going to beat the kid up for me.
Right.
And this kid was, he was like a year or two older than everybody, and he was overdeveloped, you know? And I'm like, cool. In the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, it's about time somebody's going to kick this kid's ass. So he took me to the corner. He's like, okay, fight him. And I looked at my uncle like, what are you talking about? And he's like, let's go fight him. And the kid looked at me and my uncle like, are you sure? So he made me fight the kid in front of him. And it was one of the first times in my life I wasn't scared anymore, but I knew I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So we started fighting, and I lost the fight. And my uncle let me get beat up for a few minutes. Sure. And the kid's looking at my uncle like, should I keep going? And my uncle just watching. And he made me fight him, and he stood there. And it hit me at that point in time where, okay, if I'm not going to be afraid to stand up, I'm going to need some tools to actually get the job done. And until you give your kids tools, you can talk to them, you can motivate them, but you got to give them specific tools. I mean, you're in construction, you know, if you don't have the right tools, your job becomes a lot harder.
Bro, let me tell you that. So I think it's, you know, I don't know, man. Let me know. I haven't been in that many fights, but I would venture to say that the pain of walking around in fear of being bullied or of being a victim is worse than the actual pain of getting beat up.
Oh, totally, man.
So
Totally.
it's like versus like, like if something went down, whatever, like, I mean, you get punched in the nose, it hurts. You get punched in the eye, it hurts. Like, you get like it, I'm not gonna say it hurts. Okay.
David, it's like death. I swear to you. It is like I've came close to death. It's like walking around and you're about to die when that fear of getting bullied,
Yep.
it's like death, man. It's the scariest thing that any child can go through. And there's vice grips on your emotions, on your physical body.
Nervous
It's
system.
so
Yep. Absolutely.
it's not easy.
Yeah. So that's, and the hillbilly in me likes what your uncle did. I don't know if I would do that for Scarlett. I don't know if I would do that for Landon, right? But I like that he taught you, like, look, if you start running, you never stop.
Yeah.
Like I think that was the lesson there. So one key is they need the parent support. The second key is they need great coaches. They need impeccable coaches.
Yeah.
They need coaches that they look forward to seeing.
Yeah.
Because they're like our coaches, when the kids run in here, it's like they're running in to see Santa at the mall. Like every one of the coaches, every kid's got their own. I mean, we got what? How many coaches we got? 15? 12? Yeah, something like, I don't know, like a lot. Yeah, so they've all got their favorite coaches, right? But they need outstanding coaches, and those coaches that are invested in them and know personally what they're going through. And not necessarily that they can talk about them, but that can lift them up. And kind of meet them where they're at, praise them when it's time, encourage them to do better when they know they can do better. One of the kids that got promoted last night, is one of actually our been with us the longest. One of the kids that's been with us the longest is Zach Conde. Man, I'm so proud of that. Like that, you want to talk about, I mean, we know all about his history. We've seen him go through, even while training with us, we've seen him go through some hard transitionary periods. And he's had some of those growing pains. He's like, what? He's like 7, 8 or something. Like, so he's still young. And so he's gone through a lot of life changes at such a young age. But I've seen that growth along the way. And I'm super proud of Zach. I'm really proud because like he's not like, on the surface, he's not like your textbook, obey all the rules. He's just kind of like, he's kind of sometimes Zach wants to do what Zach wants to do and not what the coaches want to do. But over time, he's making that improvement. It's that growth you're saying, not perfection. I'm super proud of him and kind of what he's done in that transition. As far as most improved, for someone most improved, he would get that award from me if I had to hand it out right now.
Like speaking of Zach and Zach's mom and dad, like Zach is like any typical kid. They grow up, they get rebellious, they follow the rules. That's how kids are. Zach is really no different than any other kid. But Zach's mom and dad knew or know this is what Zach needs. And every child is different. And it could have been so easy to say, okay, coaches, I don't like what's going on with Zach. He's not listening or he's not paying attention. And I'm using Zach as an example for any kid.
Yeah.
If any kid is in a program and it's like, well, my son's not focusing or my son's not getting better, and I'm frustrated, I'm going to throw in the towel or I'm going to stop bringing him, then they're going to pull the plug. You have to know your son or your daughter. And, I think that's one thing that's really good about, like, obviously I know Scarlett very well. We've been to, how old is Scarlett now? 5?
She is 6 now. Yep.
She just turned 6. So Scarlett's an example of a kid that's not, she's not really fast. She's not like,
He gets it from me.
What's that?
Hit.
What'd you say?
Oh, she gets her lack of speed from her father. Her lack of athleticism from me.
But like she's not athletic right now, and you can't expect her to. She's only 6 years old, but your daughter, and it's good for your daughter. She's been to like 5 to 10 tournament. No, well, since she was born, probably 50 tournaments.
Been a lot.
And but you haven't put her in a tournament. You
Right.
know your daughter, it's not the right time, and you've asked all the coaches, well, guys, initially it was like, no, she's not ready. Then you're starting to ask the other coaches, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
When do you guys think she's ready? And you know enough to say, okay, I need to bring her here and let the coaches do her job. And you also know enough to say, okay, now let me get you guys' opinion. Do you think, when do you think, or do you think it's too early or time for her to compete? And her personality is different than her next person and the next person. So you have to trust the people around you
100%.
to do their job. And I think that Zach and all the other parents that have been here for, 2 and 3 years trust the coaches, and they know what's good for their kid. And it's not any easier for them than it is the next person. They have to go through the struggles of getting them here. I mean, so I see, honestly, as a parent, I see the fatigue in all of the parents' eyes and body when they come in here at night, like they just get off work, or they had to rush here, or they had to rush home. And, it's not an easy thing to get them here, but they know what their kid needs, and you got to give it to them. And you're going to it's going to pay off.
Yeah. I mean, what do you realistically expect if you're treating any kids, and I'm going to go, I'll say this. I mean, there's value to sports. Okay. Like there's value to team sports and things, but what do you realistically expect if you treat a program, especially a martial arts program with a character development that we build leaders? Like if you treat it like a daycare, what do you honestly expect? Like, okay, oh, hey, cool. All right, thanks. Yeah, great. Like the kid could have had the most traumatic time on the mats. Like 4 out of 4 matches got dusted. Or he could have had the most victorious evening of his life. If you're treating it like a daycare and you keep going about your business, that's a failure as a parent. Like you need to invest in your kid, invest in the time to get them here, invest the money to pay for the coaches, and invest the time after the fact to find out how it went.
Yeah.
Like parenting's hard. Like part of me wishes there should be a license required to be a parent. Because it's just like, it's almost like it's either an accident or it's forethought afterwards. And you're just like, okay, like, hey, when you had a child, what did you think it would have been entail? Because I see too many parents who still kind of live in a single life,
Yeah.
But lesson here, our parents are highly committed, but that's when we talk, someone comes in new and they're literally looking for like a daycare. I'm like, it's not us, bro. Like it's not us.
Yeah. It's not what we do.
So for the kids, just to recap, let's tie it all together. We've got incredible support from the parents, and then they have incredible coaches. And then the third one I would add for the kids is they need to train. They can't train hard like that. Like they can't train 5 days a week. You can't burn them out because there is such thing as too much of a good thing. Like my daughter eats her vegetables. We also go on dates and get frozen yogurt. My daughter will learn she has to eat fruit and she has to exercise. We also get pizza and cookies and snacks. There's especially that whole reward thing. They've got to, you got to work hard and you play hard. Like they just had how the parents night out Nerf war go. Like I was at a wedding, like that Nerf war looked super fun. You had how many dozens of kids did you have shooting each other with Nerf guns?
Yeah, we had like over 70 kids.
Yeah. And so that's kind of a fun thing, right? So that's one of the reasons we offer that is because it's a place of work, but then there's also there's a time to have fun and kind of let loose a little bit.
Right.
So that's what I would add to that. That first question, do you have anything to add to that before we move on?
No, giving the kids space. Kids are going to have bad days. Kids are going to have bad days. If there's one thing that you can't force jujitsu, you can't force your kid to be good at jujitsu. You can't force them to focus. It's got to happen organically. If you pay somebody or you sign up to some organization, team, or structure, you got to let them do their thing. If they have a proven track record of getting results, you can't jump in and try to reinvent or change their wheel. You got to let them do their thing and, let it happen on its own. Sit back, like I say, watch the show.
Absolutely. So this next question I like. Jamie here, by the way. Jamie says, Jamie's son Cole just stood up to a bully, actually. Just stood up to a bully. He was the one that got punched in the belly a few times, sets him up in a rear naked, and doesn't finish it. So he doesn't finish the choke, and he's just kind of like, he's got the kid in the rear naked, and he's like, are we done here? The principal views the footage, says, Cole, I'm surprised you didn't go any further. You're good to go. Young man who punched the kid and then lost the fight. You're suspended. You're suspended. So yeah, Cole's been doing amazing. This question is, what does the future of Metro Jiu-Jitsu look like? Now, obviously, can't give out full details. But we can kind of give a hint a little bit and kind of a macro vision of it. So I'm going to let you answer first, Professor.
Yeah. So for our members listening in the community here,
I feel like we should timestamp this. This is February of 2022 as we're recording this.
Yeah. So the good thing is Coach David and Muhammad are very, very different people. Different backgrounds, different experiences, different families. Like, we're so different, but we both have a big, long vision for Metro, and that's good for you because you get more. Yeah. you guys get more. So, for our members listening, we're going to continue to grow the quality of people. So, one of our members asked us, say, hey, Coach, you guys, it looks like the gym is growing and you have, more members. And I was like, you know what? More is not better. Better is more. And, like, if you're in the gym or you have any questions about what programs that we run inside the gym, we're going to continue to really develop what we have. I mean, we have a beginner class. You just want to get your feet wet and just kind of go to a jiu-jitsu class and try it out. Adults and kids, we have it. We have an advanced class. If you want to learn advanced techniques, which is like, learning how to drive is one thing, but learning how to drive a sports car on a racetrack is a completely different thing. Things are going so fast, things are moving, there's a lot different technique to learn how to drive at 130 miles an hour versus 40 or 50 miles an hour. So we have beginner and advanced classes. We have competition classes. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean you have to compete. It means, okay, I want more of a physical challenge. We have travel competition. So these are all very different. A jiu-jitsu school, in our opinion, should not be a one-stop shop. These are the classes. This is the class. Everybody comes to the same class. That doesn't work. There's a reason why we have kids from 3 years old up to, I think, 60 some years old in the same building, not under the same class, but we have different programs for everybody and we can meet your needs. And we're going to do that. One of the things that really drives me is if you look, if you guys could see behind Coach David, like, there's a lot of different medals there. Those are just some of them. In 3 years that, we've had success in the areas of competition locally and nationally.
This is my favorite one. Where's it at? This Michigan Open was my favoriteest of favorite one. Like, I digress, but like, we were like open for 6 months and took home the friendship team award there.
Yeah,
like, that was the best.
And you know what? Like, that doesn't define a school. Because you win tournaments doesn't define a school.
I agree.
But for us, it's a small piece. It's a small piece of the big puzzle or the pie that defines who we are. And the future of Metro is going to be to continuously to progress and not get to a point and say, we're there, we made it. Yep. So, In short, I'm going to say it's a one-stop shop for anybody, kids from 5 to 11 that just want to do something a couple days a week or are going all in, that want to be on our select hand-picked tryout competition team. And adults, the same thing. Adults, you know what? I want a hobby. And we have doctors and people in very, very professional fields that come in here 2-3 days a week to get a workout, feel good about themselves. We also have people who are like, I want to compete. I want to go to a tournament. I've competed at basketball and soccer or wrestling when I was younger, and I actually want to compete at this age because I like competition. So our goal is to continue to nurture those people and give them, feed the needs that really drives them as human beings so they can get results and feel happy outside of jiu-jitsu.
So in a macro, what the future of Metro looks like is like I see Metro as becoming the spot, like to where there's no need to go to Google. There's no need to go to Facebook. There's like, yo, I want my kid. I need a place. I need something for my kid to do. First of mine is Metro, not because of the jiu-jitsu we offer, because as jiu-jitsu grow, I'm going to feel on record, there will be double the amount of jiu-jitsu schools in the immediate area within 5 years. So I'm fully expecting there to be more jiu-jitsu. I'm not scared of more jiu-jitsu. In fact, I'm happy that it's growing to kind of outgrow traditional martial arts. But in terms of like the leaders that we build, both for kids and adults, that will be our center. It'll be kind of a leader, like it's a place you go because any blue belt, solid blue belt and up can teach jiu-jitsu. Like it used to be really, really common. As there became more black belts, it kind of got frowned upon. But like any blue belt and up can teach jiu-jitsu. Not just anybody can take you from where you're at, help you develop as a human, help you see more worth, help you make more money in your career, be a better husband and father, and kind of promote these morals and characters. Take your kid, help them set goals, whether it's getting an Ivy League college or get in a career that they really, really enjoy or open their own business. Not anyone can do that. Not everyone wants to do that. In fact, there's a lot of people, they just want to kind of train. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like when we talk like Metro, that's where I see. Now, whether that's one location, big location, or multiples, don't know. Like I'll say maybe, because we've been in this game long enough to know that you have to be flexible. Like I've had to be flexible. I've probably developed more gray hair in the past 3 years than the rest of my life. I'm gonna look like my father here in the next couple of years. Like they're just because you have to make so many different changes. But that's where I see it. Like, because it's honestly like, we're talking about like I wanted to earn a black belt, and I'm proud to be a black belt. But I will say, boy, black belts seemed a lot cooler when I wasn't one of them. Does that make sense? I'm like, boy,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, that dude's a black belt. Like he's dope. And then like now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in a black belt, but it's a slightly more empty than I anticipated it would be. And so that's why I talk to all these lower ranks all the time. Just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, the growth, and that's where I see Metro going. I can also promise you that we will always put our members first. Over everything else. Like that's a promise. Like so I'm sitting in this current parents lounge. Coach Muhammad is sitting on our nearly 4,500 square feet of mats on one side, not including mat 2. And in the parents lounge, they're like, yeah, these TVs are sweet. I like being able to see my kids. The free coffee's awesome. Can we get the coaches mic'd to hear mat chats? That was on Friday. The coaches will be mic'd today. So I'm taking that feedback. I don't pretend to know all the answers. Coach Muhammad doesn't. Like we're sort of building this as a community, like a community leader. Like when I see us first in mind, I see us first in mind with the mayor, with the local regional, like that's first in mind. These companies that have been around for you see them, they've been around since 1918. You're like, dear God, like what even was happening in 1918? But they were that committed. It wasn't just like. I used to be in the jewelry industry, and there was this window of like the gold party era. I don't know if you remember it. Everyone and their mother learned how to do basic 4th grade division, buy gold and sell it for a 40% markup. They did that for 3 years and got out of the business when it got difficult. That's not going to happen with us. If 2020 has proven nothing, it's that Metro's not going anywhere when things get difficult. In fact, we were one of the only ones actually running programs, actually still serving their members, actually still pivoting to make sure that we were there we were committed to your child and our adults. So that's what the vision of Metro looks like. So next question. Do I really need private lessons?
Yes, 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 and yes.
Can I just learn what you're teaching in class?
Yes.
So why do I need private lessons?
Let me ask you this. What percentage of overall school children in the course of their educational journey from, say, 5 years old up to high school have ever had a tutor?
I have no way of. Well,
have you ever had a tutor?
Do you know the answer?
Well, I can tell you this. I know that I have. Have you?
I tutored kids. I didn't have a tutor.
Okay.
Yeah. So like that, like I tutored. Yeah, like I tutored them, but I didn't have a tutor.
Every single one of my kids has had an academic tutor at some point, or still do until today. I know I have when I was younger, and everybody in my immediate circle that I know has had a tutor more than one time in their life academically. And the people that I'm thinking of are professionals, they're engineers, attorneys, they're doctors, they're anybody who's gone to school for a specific trade or for that profession has had a tutor. And the people that I'm thinking about are very successful. My mom has had a tutor. My mom just got her PhD a few years ago. So should you take private lessons? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I wouldn't go as far as to say if you want to get fast track to jiu-jitsu, but I would highly, highly advise anybody in any sport or any industry to take a tutor. My kids, for example, have played like soccer, hockey, football, baseball, field hockey, and every single one of them, except I think Coach Nazmia, has had private lessons in whatever sport that they're taking. Yeah. Every single one of them has taken camps. So you need private lessons in jiu-jitsu. Could you still get better in jiu-jitsu without private lessons? Absolutely. Could you still meet all of the goals that we just, discussed that some of the people have? Could you still get a black belt without never getting a private lesson? 100%. I don't know a black belt in the last 15 years. I'll tell you this. I don't know one single black belt who hasn't taken multiple privates over the years. And I don't know a black belt who still does not go out and seek knowledge, whether it be online, more importantly, going to seminars and taking private lessons from someone who is not that much better than them. So you need that ongoing education and you need that one-on-one attention. So in my opinion, and I haven't said this in the gym, I haven't said it like this, but I would highly advise anybody to take private lessons. Highly. I've took them since I was a white belt. Since I was a white belt until today, any chance I get to take a private lesson, I'm doing it.
So the value I see in private lessons is, for me, accountability is like, admittedly, I'd like to think I'm somewhat disciplined. But again, going back to that initial, like telling someone you're going to do something, those who are invested are committed. Investment equals commitment. And so when I when I put money towards something and they say, what do you want to cover? And I'm gonna be like, all right, well, I want to cover this. They're like, okay, well, let's check it out. Two things are going to happen. You're going to listen a lot more closely when that costs you more money out of your pocket. You're going to listen a lot more closely. So you're going to show up with more intention. Number two, three things are going to happen actually. Number two, now that coach knows specifically, like they're going to check in on you. How's it going? Like how is that attack going? Because they know specifically how to check it, as opposed to just kind of generally. Every person in the gym is working on something entirely different. Like I've got guy like Jimmy, Coach Jimmy Parks working on his crucifix at the moment. I can't really help him out with that much. I mean, I'd help him out a little bit, but I'm gonna funnel you to someone who's got a better crucifix than I do. So, and then the third thing that's gonna happen is you are now going to time collapse everything. Because even once you watch like say a BJJ tutorial or whatever, you're not getting that live feedback. And then you're learning from someone who's got we're covering the mount escape right now, right? And I'd like to think, I mean, outside of being mounted by Brandon McCaffrin, I'd like to think I've got a decent mount escape. Like my mount usually isn't my problem. And it's because I did the math, I've been mounted over 18,000 times. So I've just kind of had to learn how to get out of that. So there's other parts that give me a little bit of trouble, but mount escape's not really one of them. And so now you're learning the time collapse, benefiting from the experience of the accumulated failure and or success of the person that you're doing private lessons with. So I was doing one with Delane, and we fixed 5 fairly crucial keys to a triangle in 15 minutes. How many weeks would you have had to go to class to only to find out? How many times have you been thinking you were doing something right, and then you see one detail 6 months later in class, and you're like, well, I thought it was like this, and they're like, no, this is how you actually do it, and you've been doing it wrong for 6 months. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh man, it's happened many times over the first 5 to 7 years in jiu-jitsu. You do something again and again and again, and one or two things happen, one of many things, but you could get to a point where you are so frustrated that something clicks in your brain, and you're like, I can't have this happen anymore. You can't have that happen in one day. It has to happen again and again and again and again and again and again. And finally it clicks, and then you get the answer and it's solved. Or you can take some private lessons, and you could start to establish good habits that don't lead to pattern of putting yourself in a bad position, or leaving the gym so frustrated. But yeah, and then I would have to say, there was a time not long ago where we were talking about it, is I don't have time to do the privates, and I know we don't want to do I don't want to do a private lesson unless I know somebody is in a mentally good space. They have to be hungry for knowledge, and they have to be willing to put the work in. If you're training 1 day a week and you want to supplement it with a private lesson, I'm probably not going to be the best person for you. Yep. Because at this point, I want to give back to somebody who's actually putting in the time and going through the process of
100%.
3 days a week of jiu-jitsu. That way we can both, they can have the private lessons can have an impact on them. And the same goes for kids.
Let me just interject. Yeah, taking private lessons, if you're training 1 day a week or just started, is the equivalent of not working out, not eating right, and wanting to take the fat burning pill. So just to let you know what's happening right now. We are next door to Planet Fitness. We have radios to talk for us, and not only a summer program, but also back and forth, because the freaking huge. You can't holler to the back. And sometimes it interferes with them. Sometimes I may or may not, just kind of get on their radio station and start talking smack and confusing them. But Coach Muhammad just turned the radio off. So that's what was going on there. But that's the equivalent of if you're training 1 day, 1 day a week, and be like, I need private lessons. Well, no, you need to do what you need to know to do first. Like you need to show up more, you know. But then like that's the equivalent. Like it's not a quick fix. It's an awesome supplement.
Yeah.
Awesome supplement. And so so that's yeah, I think that's, and I, you know, I hope Coach Alvarez sees this. Christian, if you're hearing this like 50 minutes in, just take this clip, send it to Coach Alvarez. He'll appreciate this. Like Coach Alvarez came to our school twice, did a seminar on half guard twice. I went to compete in Dallas twice and got beat based on the same half guard he showed. So that's a total of 4 times from my coach, Professor Danny Alvarez, that I've seen this move. And like, and still just, again, for whatever reason, it didn't click. Whatever, like I still saw it and I was like, man. And then finally he showed me, he's like, yo, Fox, man. He's like, you remember that half guard sweep? Like that, he's killing you with that. That same one, like that same one. It was almost like, he like didn't want to go hard into me, but he was like so disappointed at the same time. I was like that's so, you saying something one time in class is sometimes not I mean, we need repetition. I think you need to see what's the stat.
Let me just say something there is that you got to have guts to learn a new technique in your life. Forget about jiu-jitsu. You have to have guts to learn a new communication technique, a work technique, a public speaking technique. You got to have guts to learn it and then go test it. I mean, really, that's what jiu-jitsu is. You really have to have guts to learn something new from somebody who's obviously an authority in that field and then go out and test it. And if it doesn't work, what do you do? What did you do after it did not work? So you tell us.
So after it didn't work, it was a matter of I just missed my window, right? It was but what I didn't do is I didn't practice it in the academy. So like because like I was like, oh, I don't really like. He came and did the seminar.
And it worked on a non-resisting opponent.
Yeah, it worked on non-resisting. Yeah, of course, it worked on non-resisting opponent. And then, but also he showed, I was like, I'm not really a half guard guy. So he's shown me this a total of 4 times now, but I wasn't listening for that. I wasn't listening for half guard. I was like, I'm not really a half guard guy. I'm a close guard guy. Well, guess what? Once they start passing your close guard, you are in what? Usually half guard. So you got to become some type of half guard guy. Yeah. And so that's just a matter. I wasn't listening for it because in my eyes, if I had just gone to Arlington and it was just me and Coach Danny and he's like, yo, we're going to work on a half guard today. And I'm going to expect we're going to do this for the next 6 weeks. Like I'm going to have a much better half guard. I play it now more, but that was just I was like, man, he must think I've got brain damage, to just miss that. But that's where sometimes stuff clicks and it takes a long time. And without that focus training. So
on that note, our coaches have gone down there and every time they go down there or they go to Texas or, they go to our affiliates, they spend $400 or $500 on private lessons. So our coaches who are doing private lessons don't think that they don't know what it feels like to invest in their future. Metro Jiu-Jitsu invest in the competing for their athletes. They invest in the private training, private lessons, and outside athletic training to make sure that you guys are getting the absolute best athletes that that they can be.
So we got a lot of questions here, not a whole lot of time. I'm going to cherry pick this one. We might have time for a second. So what is one of your vital childhood memories? You might have shared this already. Vital childhood memories that influence part of who you are today.
Vital childhood memories. They used to kick my ass when I was younger. That's what it is.
You spent a lot of time getting beat up, huh?
Yeah, I spent a whole lot of time.
Yeah. You remind me sometimes of that Captain America scene where he's like, I got beat up in that alley and that alley and behind that theater. And she's like, did you ever think to run? And he's like, once you start running, you don't stop.
You can't. There's nowhere to go. I was outnumbered. Yeah. The vital childhood memories were getting like I had my ass kicked for years straight. And my other childhood memory is my mom was like, she knew that her son was going through some stuff. She knew that it was a really tough time. And I could see by the way she looked at me, she knew it. But my mom put me in, karate, which wasn't karate like it was today. I want
to interject real quick. I saw a clip. I feel like I need a very small apology. I saw a small clip of combat karate. They were fighting.
It's a real fight. Yeah.
So, okay. So combat, like maybe whenever I say whatever the dance studios are that PKSA is, that's when I say karate. Like that's what I'm dogging. But combat karate, they were kicking each other in the head and throwing knees and elbows. Like that looked like a real fight.
Back then, we didn't have headgear.
Oh yeah, they didn't have headgear in this fight either. So
there was no headgear. They'd put gloves on, but really, really, really thin ones, and they just put pads on your legs, and it was a real fight. Yeah, it wasn't like point and you stop. It was a fight. They let you go, and back in those days, you were getting black eyes, bloody noses, bloody lips, like every day. Everybody in class would get them at some point. Yeah. So. Yeah, the childhood memories were getting my ass handed to me like time and time and time again. And the other one was my mom putting me in these activities to help remedy that.
Yeah.
To get me the confidence or get me the skills to defend myself. And she was so committed, man. Like, and I've said it to like Melinda stands out. And, I've mentioned it to a lot of other parents. I always thank them. I said, look, I see what you're doing for your kids, and I see how much you're going out of your way. I know it. I know what it's like for you. I know what you have to do to get them here. And I know the time commitment and the financial commitment, and I respect it. So my mom going out of her way to do that for me time and time and time again. And seeing me go through that, I was bullied in sports too. In hockey, I was bullied. And yeah, and football.
You played hockey?
Yeah, dude.
Bro, hockey's an expensive sport.
I gotta say that I'm actually hands down the best hockey player in my family, which isn't saying much.
Wow.
But I loved hockey.
Wow.
Okay. So yeah, that memory of my mom, it wasn't like let's try this or let's try that. Like it was unsaid that my mom was trying to get me a solution to what I was going through, to find something physical to help me get the confidence back to stand up to the people around me. And ultimately, hockey, soccer, football, baseball, and I had private lessons in all of them. I don't know where she got the money because she was a single mom. She was going to school. She worked 2 jobs and she had to pay for a babysitter. But she found a way to make it happen. And those memories will never, ever leave me because I knew she was doing it to help me address the bullies. Ultimately, it all came back to martial arts and Jiu Jitsu.
So,
Mom, if you're listening, I love you.
Yeah, your mother's she's a really special, special woman. She's, you can tell she's one of those people that like maybe I should learn from. Like she definitely, every word out of her mouth is intentional and calculated. Like she'll if you ask her something, she'll make you wait 15 seconds before she gives you an answer. Like if she doesn't have it, she doesn't. Well, you don't have to answer. It's fine. Like, so one of my childhood memories, vital ones. This is just one of them. I'm not going to give several, but like, so I was in Monroe Middle School, first year in public school. Hell of a transition, let me tell you that. So going from private to a Monroe middle. But so I got free lunches and free breakfast because we just didn't make enough. I was one of 5 kids. And so money was kind of tight. And so I just remember one year, like I was in, long story short, we were saving up for I wanted this DC Talk hoodie and they were like $50 in like 2007. So like call it 75 or 80 today. And so I wanted one and we saved up and we finally, I got one and I was so excited. I was telling like my buddy, my best friend, we were in choir. And I was like, hey, sweet dude, I got this hoodie. And it's awesome. And then one of these tools behind me, on the swim team, was like, wow, he was wearing a hoodie, which he got for being on the swim team. And he was in every other sport. He's like, wow, a hoodie? No way. It was no big deal. And I just remember I was like, that's cool that you've got 15 hoodies and you don't care about any of them. I didn't have one. This was one, this was important to me. So now whenever I think of that, now whenever I wear it, literally, every time I put a hoodie on, I think of the kid making fun of me because it was special to afford a hoodie. And so I'm like, you know what, man? He had way more than me. And he was using it to make me feel even smaller than he would, by every objective calculation, he was doing better than me. But he still felt the need to put me down. So he had some internal other issues going on. No idea where he is now. But so how that transforms as an adult is 2 things. One, man, you gotta just appreciate and value the things that people value. If someone's like, hey, look at my car, and it's a 2005, it's new to them, but it's a 2005 Honda Civic. Love that car, by the way. I've owned 2 of them. You can be happy for them. Congratulate them, because that's a big deal to them. Even if you have something that even if you would never own that car in your life.
Yeah.
And then the second part is being heavily remembering where you came from. Remembering where you came from, you with your obviously your bullying background, your mother, watching her invest in her kids when she didn't have much, but whatever she had, she invested, and remembering where you came from the South End. That's crucial. That's a huge part of who you are experientially. And so that's where I think it's really important when you see these people, they kind of get too big for their britches and they forget or start to dog it a little bit. I don't like that at all, man. I don't like that at all. What I really do love is people who have become quote unquote successful, whatever that definition means to them. And they're as down to earth, super, super, super down to earth, as if they were talking with anyone else here. That I really, really like that.
I got to share this quick story. I know we just went over, but my mom and dad were split up when I was younger, so they weren't in the same house. And I remember my dad took me to the mall one time, and I was picking out some shoes. And I think I was 12, 13 or 14. I was around that age. And I convinced my dad to buy me these pair of Filas.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah. And it was it was a white Fila shoe with the line going through there. At the time, I was like, these shoes are sick. Oh my God, they're amazing shoes. And I love my dad. My dad passed away 10 years ago. And, through my relationship with him, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the world. But I got him to get me the shoes. And I'll never forget, I was so happy. It was one of the happiest days of my life. A week later, I was at my uncle's house, who made me cut his grass. This uncle, whenever I'd go over his house, there would be work to be done.
Sure.
So I got my shoes dirty up to that point, and then I cut his grass and my shoes were dirty. And then it hit me that it's my dad got me these shoes and now they ain't worth nothing.
Yeah.
And, I'll never forget that for the rest of my life, because what my mom gave me was shoes that will never, ever become dirty. She gave me a minted pair of shoes by putting me in sports and activities. And those shoes I still wear till today because they never get old. They never get worn down. And by my mom putting me in sports and activities and making sure that that is the way I can walk, I can use those shoes to walk through my life and navigate through. They never get worn out, and they're always going to be on my feet. They're always going to help me find my way. The physical pair of shoes that my dad got me, they were done within a week or two.
Yeah.
And I never forget that. But the shoes that my mom put on me are helped me until today, get through all of these last 40, 50 years of my life. And they never get old. And they're like an armor on my feet that keep me going forward. And that's what martial arts, that's what Jiu Jitsu has done for me. And that's what a commitment of a mom who is doing it for the right reasons has done for me as an athlete, as a father, and as an entrepreneur. She gave me tools. She didn't buy something for me.
Let me know your thoughts on this. And this is coming from someone who, like, I've got both my kids have tablets. Okay. So, like, I'm not like hot holier than thou in that aspect. But in a lot of time, like, if you calculate how much parents spend on their kids on material things, screens, tablets, toys, fill in the blank, you calculate that it's well over, I promise you, I don't care how much you make, well over $1,000 a year. Well over. And I wonder if, this is a rhetorical question, doesn't need an answer. Are we buying those things for our kids to make our own lives easier? We can say, oh, I bought this for my kid. No, you didn't. I'm under no delusion that I bought the tablet for my kid. I'm under the delusion that I bought the tablet for my own sanity so that when they're freaking out on a car trip, they have something to watch. Yeah. So let's call it what it is. Like, I'm not being a good parent by buying my kid that. I'm trying to, like, relieve my own stress. So you're actually not investing anything in your kid with those things, with those toys, with those electronics. Again, I own them. Like, I'm not demonizing them. But don't pretend that that's an investment in your kid. Don't pretend that that's like, like that is going to change their future. Has Scarlett learned stuff through PBS? Yeah, she's learned actually quite a bit. Has she learned things through Curious George? Yep, she has, for sure. But has she learned far more through martial arts and jiu-jitsu and the character development here without question. So I think that's a really neat, obtuse correlation. So that's it, guys. I mean, that's it. We had a couple other questions. We'll save them for next week. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're digging any of this or you like anything you hear, do us a favor. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You'll get the notifications when we do more stuff like this. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, any of our groups, please share it, tag someone, put the timestamp of, like, say, hey, check this out, what we're doing, because that really helps us kind of organically. And it gets more parents in here like the ones that we already have. Like, where our kids program right now is really by application only. Not every kid is accepted. And so if it's a good fit and we're looking for the Mrs. Elders, who is Professor Muhammad's mom, we're looking for the Mrs. Elders of the world, then that's what really helps us out with that. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. Until next time, we will see you guys
on the mats.